How we doing, guys? And welcome to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Got a lot of topics we're going to hit on tonight. First and foremost, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. We're going to be speaking tonight about Aaron Judge and Xander Bogaerts signing some mega deals. One guy staying with his team, another guy going out west. We're going to be talking about an infamous arms dealer getting traded for WNBA superstar Brittney Griner. And we have the best games to cover for Week 14 slate in the NFL. Huge week, pivotal week for a lot of teams looking to stay in the wild card hunt, as well as taking over divisional leads and distancing themselves in their respective divisions. We're going to start it up with the news that broke this morning. WNBA superstar Brittney Griner, as many of you know, was in Russian custody. And as early as this morning, our administration made a decision to get her back to the country for a rather dangerous man. There's been a lot of frustration amongst people in the sense that this appears to be on some levels a priority to get someone famous home as opposed to getting a soldier home. This also comes off, in my opinion, I'm speaking for myself here, as a little bit of softness on our end, because when you're dealing with leadership like that, you need to play hardball and say, no, we want both of them if you're getting this guy back. Because, you know, it's been quoted in a lot of war movies or just in general from previous administrations, even long before our times, you know, you never make deals or trade terrorists. And essentially that's what we did today. We can go in on a plethora of different reasonings that Brittney Griner, it's an unfair situation, but at the same time, I think it's a reminder that while this country has a lot of shortcomings and definitely a lot of work to do, these are advantages that I think we take for granted on the daily, the freedoms that we have. I think that is where I stand on this. Am I happy she's home? I don't wish that fate on anyone. So whether I'm a fan of Brittney Griner or not is irrelevant. I don't wish that on any American to be stuck there. But when I think about that a soldier is left behind and a celebrity ball player is coming home, I think it speaks volumes on what we value, or at least what the administration values. And that can never sit completely right with me. But that's where I'm at with this.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is the Marines and what they stand by, Semper Fi, and that means never leave a Marine behind. And we have our dear president leaving a Marine behind yet again. And I know he's been back there for the last 4 years. We can go back to the previous president in office, but either way, I'm happy she's home, but I'm not happy at what we had to give up to bring her home. You alluded to it should have been a 2-for-1. Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about one of the most notorious weapons dealers in the history of the world, I guess. And
pretty bad dude.
A pretty bad dude. And we're talking about Brittney Griner, a girl that hates her country, has been very vocal about her stance on the United States of America, versus a guy who served for our country. So, obviously me, I'm a veteran. I take this one a little deeper about the whole ordeal. Yes, like I said, I'm happy she's home. But what other thing people have to understand is whenever we go into another country, another state, even some other cities, there are laws we have to follow. And just because we'll use California, for example, if you live in California, you have the right to walk into a dispensary, buy cartridges, buy marijuana, buy whatever you want. However, the one law that applies nationwide is you cannot carry any type of narcotics or meth, whatever the case is, on an airplane. So that wasn't just some Russian law. That is a worldwide law. That is an FAA law that you are not allowed to transport any type of marijuana with you. So it really makes no difference that it happened in Russia or if it happened in somewhere in Africa, Antarctica, whatever. Fact is, that law is in place worldwide. So that's the one thing people need to understand about the whole deal. She broke the law. Yes, it's stupid because it is marijuana, as we see that America is slowly loosening up the laws about it. But either way, we have to abide by other countries' laws. It's just the way it is.
And when you do something like that with someone who hates us, being the Russian government, they're gonna use you as a political ploy. I'm sorry, Quentin.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And to touch on what Zappy said, had she been, whenever you go anywhere, especially overseas, you need to know that country's laws and customs. Okay, had she been in Saudi Arabia, you would have never heard from her ever again until the next census. You know what I'm saying? Because Saudi Arabia, they don't play that. They would have executed her in what, 3 days? No trial, barely a trial. Okay, she should have known better. She should have known what her environment that she was going into was going to be. What it, you need to know what they tolerate versus what they don't tolerate. You need to know, can I carry this, carry that? Uh, no. North Korea, oh yeah, she would have been executed. No questions asked. They wouldn't have even taken her to the salt mines or whatever. They just shot her, worked her to the until she dropped dead. Okay, this the problem with this country is this country loves celebrities. Okay, they love celebrity. They've been programmed to deify celebrities. I call them star fuckers. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what they are. People, they look at it, you see it all day long with athletes. I want my kids to be like Mike. I want my child to be like this famous football player. Instead of, what about the guy in the neighborhood that's in your neighborhood that is doing, working with the homeless? You see what I'm saying? I want to, everybody wants to follow Kim Kardashian. I'm like, for what? Why are you following that dumb twit? Why are you following her? Okay, she got famous off sex. Okay, and it's like it's crazy. It's madness. It's madness. But celebrity is the root cause of all this. And you leave a Marine behind, you leave an armed forces guy behind to rescue a celebrity. She's not really a celebrity in the sense of what a celebrity actually is, because she's not that big. She doesn't really have that big of a platform.
And in closing, something that I mentioned the first time we brought this on the show when I did a show with Idris, I'm going to re-mention it. A lot of women were quote unquote pissed off because that Brittney Griner chose or had to play out there because of a substantial decrease in money of what the men make. But this is what bothers me about all this with the WNBA, to kind of circle it around into the sports realm. Where is the support? You
Right.
say that you want equal pay, but you yourself aren't going to spend your hard-earned money to support the women that play in the WNBA. And oddly enough, in addition to an all-male league, with the exception of trainers, coaches, and referees, where more women have joined the NBA, the point I'm making is a male-driven league is what's supporting this league.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, for the women that are going to complain and talk about this, and even so much as say, oh, this would have never happened if shouldn't have to leave the country. This would have never happened if she was LeBron. Say what you want about LeBron. I don't think LeBron would have been dumb enough to get himself in this situation.
Yeah, but it also speaks to the fact that that's why that goes without saying. The NFL, okay, there's other options. viable options: CFL, USFL,
Yeah,
now the XFL, and those are independent entities. They don't rely on the NFL. They
this
have
is a
their
great
own.
example down here. Before we were on air, I mentioned that when the Orlando Miracle, the sister team of the Orlando Magic, were in the old Orlando Arena, my mother's saying it right here. More men supported the WNBA than women. My mother was a season ticket holder. She did her part. Point to be made is they are no longer in the city, but that has been a microcosm of what the WNBA is. You know, the support just clearly isn't there, and an interest level legitimately isn't there. So I do understand both sides of it. You take a person like the late Kobe Bryant, I do believe that things would have been trending upward with that league in just a bigger way because of Kobe having the daughters and also having the drive to try to make women's basketball a bigger entity and more on an equal playing field of not just men's basketball, but sports in general, which I think in his short time on planet Earth, he did a hell of a job doing. I do want to praise him for that. This is really all I got on this, though. I think we all share a similar sentiment. As an American, yes, I don't wish that on anyone that's an American. So, yes, I did want her home, but I didn't want her home under those circumstances. I think we kind of bended a little too much for a bad place, a bad leadership, and traded off a bad person. I think that's all I got there. We're going to move it along to the NFL. This is undeniably the biggest game of the New York Giants season. They're going to be facing the Philadelphia Eagles, who only have one blemish on their record this year. Zappy and I have spoken on recent shows saying how it does seem that the Eagles are gradually getting learned by other teams, even in victory. Recent examples, Indianapolis almost upset them, as did the Green Bay Packers, give them a rather good game. From watching my fair share of film on this team, all I can say is for the Giants to win this game, you can't make too many mistakes. You got to be able to run the ball. And if you look at the Washington game, the game they lost, you got to possess the ball and keep that offense off the field. Washington did it to a tune of 40 minutes. It's going to take that. And you also need a little bit of luck when you're playing a team that's more talented. But I do believe that the New York Giants have got to be optimistic at minimum because they are getting healthier. They did give, in my opinion, a better Dallas Cowboys team, maybe not record-wise, but I think right now the Cowboys are the best team in the NFC. Unbiased opinion on that. And I do think that the Eagles are beatable. Do I think that we're the team that's going to be able to do it? That will reveal itself. Recent history says the Giants got a shot. We've split the last two seasons with them, winning our last two games in Jersey. So, but you got to put them away. I mean, what happened last week, the conservative play calling by Brian Dable, a guy who has hung his hat on taking chances and not backing down, I think it kind of went against his credo of not going forward on 4th and 2, because quite frankly, whether you lose or whether you tie, it still feels like a loss. I think the Giants missed a golden opportunity to step on them there. The Feliciano penalty is unfortunate. It doesn't matter what I think. The flag was thrown. The Slayton drop, the Love dropped interception, not getting Gano close enough for a field goal. You could go on and on. What's the positives? We outplayed them. Kayvon Thibodeau had a hell of a game again. But that's where I'm at with this. Giants are going to need to lengthen their possessions, keep the Eagles off the field. But taking the fan hat off, I think we're going to fall victim to a better football team. I'm going to go 30-23 Eagles. I think the Giants are going to play a better game than they did last week, but they're playing a better opponent, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. We're gonna have to play perfect. As I was stating earlier, we're gonna have to play perfect football. Extending possessions, scoring each and every opportunity we get.
Yeah.
Shortening the game. And what I would love to see is a little bit more 3B. You feel what I'm saying?
I know what you're talking about. Let's tell
3B.
the masses what you're talking about.
When I say 3B, I want to see Barkley, Breida, and Brightwell. Okay, 3B vision. Okay, because you have three different running styles. Why not utilize them instead of just having Saquon have all the carries and have Breida sprinkled in? You need to have all three working together. You know what I mean? Because you see how they key in on Barkley.
Yes.
Okay, he's back to the old Barkley where he's dancing in the hole. He's dancing because he can't get any. He can't hit the hole. He's dancing. So I say sprinkle in Breida, sprinkle in Brightwell. Pull one of the
You look at our
guys from the
history;
depth
it's
chart.
worked.
Yeah, it's worked exactly.
Earth, Wind, and
2001.
Fire. Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
O.J. Anderson, Rodney Hampton.
There you go.
Dave
I mean,
Meggett.
it's very simple. It's very simple, but what do we know, right? What do we
Even with
know?
Philly, look what they do. Look what Philly
Yeah,
does. Look what Dallas
yeah,
does.
they do that
Look what
because
Washington's been doing.
yeah, they utilize their running back core to the fullest, and what it does, it wears down the defense, it extends drives, takes time off the clock, and keeps the possession on their end. The longer you keep the ball, the more the defense is going to get tired. It's
And I
not
tend
hard.
to feel that the whole possession thing, that is the key amongst all else. Because when I look at the Giants play, with the exception of the Detroit Lions game, I very rarely feel that we don't have a chance to win the game.
Mhm.
And, even the Dallas game, so yes, the Giants have literally been in every game they've played outside of the Lion game. And if I would have looked at the schedule and said, oh, that's the one blowout we're going to suffer, or just completely grossly outplayed, I would have never said that, but it's what happened. This is a team that's, I said this on the last show. They have the ability to win on any given Sunday against anyone, but the problem is they also have the ability to lose to anyone. And those are the growing pains of learning how to win in an ultra-competitive league when you're trying to change the culture, which has been partially done already, and you're also trying to change perennial loser into consistent winner. And that is a tedious process. Quentin, what's your final on this?
Final on this, I say 30-21. Philly.
Yeah, in favor of the bad guys.
Yeah, favor of bad guys. Because the problem with blitzing with Martindale, if you blitz too much, you get the ball out of the hand, Jalen Hurts out of his hands quicker, and you're giving him a chance to run up the gut. Because remember, if you blitz, you usually over pursue. Middle of the field is going to be wide open for Jalen Hurts to take off. I say we play spy. I say what we need to do is gap protection, gap integrity, and go in there and put him on the ground. You need to put him on the ground.
And you've got to stop that Eagle run game, because between Hurts being comfortable in the pocket, also being a running quarterback,
Yep.
and with the litany of options they have in that backfield, behind, in my opinion, the best offensive line in football, it is quite the task. There is a reason why this team has only lost one game this year, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think what's most important for the Giants is to show up and hang around, because I do think it can give the momentum they need to win an all-important game against Washington. And then, you got to see where it goes. You could punch yourself in the face a little for not winning the game initially and getting that 2-game lead, which should have happened last week. Zappy, what are your thoughts on this? And I guess it's a clean sweep for the Eagles, I would presume.
Yeah, the one thing the Giants have to do, obviously Quentin alluded to that they have to control the clock. But secondly, it's something that really no one has been able to do, and it's forced this Eagles team to turn the ball over. Jalen Hurts has only thrown 3 interceptions this year. He has 5 fumbles, but hasn't lost one. As a team,
that's a remarkable stat in itself.
Yeah, and as a team, they have 10 total turnovers this year, but they're on the plus side. I think plus 12 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure because their defense can force some turnovers. So
Right.
if you're going to try to go out there and just strictly try to move down the field, score, and let them score, they're going to beat you. They're going to beat pretty much all teams. They're a good team like that. You have to force Jalen Hurts to get uncomfortable. The one thing Philly does is they do allow him to get sacked a lot. So if you can get Ojulari and Thibodeau in the backfield and make some noise, then absolutely go to work. You've got to force him to throw a couple of those Jalen Hurts passes that we've been waiting for that have not happened this year.
Oh, I like this. FAKC, I know who you are. New York winning, good money bet. I don't know if you picked up some of those leftover cartridges from Miss Griner. I love you to death, kid. I don't know how the hell we're gonna do this, but I still love I love the optimism, dude. Love it.
Now
And I did root for you in both those Super Bowls, by the way. I just want to let you know because I know you guys waited a long time before you refound greatness.
But yeah, as far as this game goes, Philly played a fantastic game last week against Tennessee and shutting down Derrick Henry. And this is after the last few weeks where it seemed like their run defense had been exposed. But once again, this Tennessee team is one of those where you fall behind. If they fall behind early and take the run game out, they really can't win many games. So I'm not going to read too far into it. However, if we talk about where Philly comes out this week, shuts down Saquon, or it shuts down the triple Bs and then doesn't let Daniel Jones beat them out the pocket, and then if they come out next week and shut down Chicago's running game and then Dallas's running game, then yeah, they are hands down the best defensive and offensive team in the NFL. But in regards to this week, I've got Philly winning. I've got them winning pretty handily, 31-13. I think they're going to get off fast, have their big second quarter that they usually have, and not look back after that.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that. Before we hit on your Cowboys, I wanted to mention this quickly. The Commanders are on a bye. They do jump the New York Giants in the playoff picture by not even playing should the Giants lose. And also Seattle is in that mix playing Carolina team. But Carolina could have a puncher's chance being that Kenneth Walker isn't going to be there. We'll hit on that towards the end of the show. But you had something you wanted to share about Daniel Snyder, I believe, earlier today. You had texted me about that. Anything you want to throw on that?
I can't remember the exact details. It just goes into all the speculations that the working environment for the Commanders over the last 20 years was a bad one, and he was allowing it. That it pretty much came down to that. So
I kind of skimmed the article. I guess the point is that this is going to be huge because, we always say how billionaires seem to get a lot more leeway than millionaires. We've seen it with the Robert Kraft thing versus the Deshaun Watson thing. We've seen it on a lot of different layers and levels. It's the NFL. It's the Billionaire Boys Club. I think we all know what time it is with that. But since we're talking about billionaires and a very elite club, Jerry's boys, your Dallas Cowboys, playing the other team in the state who is in position to get the number 1 overall draft pick. Trying to keep pace with those Eagles. This is the kind of game where I feel that you could literally sleep for 3 quarters and still win. This is the kind of game
they're gonna mollywop them.
Yeah, you could play both. You could play your defensive guys on both sides of the ball and still win the game.
Dallas is going to drag Houston.
Yes,
so bad, right? It's gonna look like Davy Crockett in the Alamo.
It's gonna.
Did you see what they did? You see what they did Sunday, right? They put up 54. 3, 4?
54.
Against a decent Indianapolis team. Okay? Not even a good Indianapolis. They were decent, but not good enough. But still. I was watching that game, and I had turned my head. It was close. In the third quarter, and then I turned my head fourth quarter. And I was like, oh, they up 3 scores. Just like that in the blink of an eye.
Happened fast.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, this is going to be a beatdown. There's nothing to see here. Literally. I mean, if Dallas doesn't show any mercy, they could put up 60 on these guys. The Texans, at this point, not that they had the ability to really decide oh, we're not going to win this one. We'll win that. At this point, it makes every logical reason to tank it out, which they do a good job of anyway because they're a terrible football team. I got Dallas winning this thing, and I'm not even trying to be funny. 51-13.
I don't even think Houston gets 13, honestly. Because look, Lovie Smith, love the guy, great defensive mind. His time has passed in the league. Okay,
Great beard.
Great beard. Look like Black Santa Claus.
Hell
Black
yeah.
Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? But his time in the league has passed. He's proven that he is not a good head coach. Okay. His glory moment came when in Chicago when he led them to the Super Bowl when they played Tony Dungy in Indianapolis. But his time has come and gone. You know what I mean? And you might as well go get Herm Edwards. You bring Herm Edwards back. David Shaw. You might as well go get who else? Hell.
Pretty soon you're going to be seeing those annual Jim Mora clips.
Right.
Playoffs on the horizon. That was one of the greatest meltdowns. There's been a couple of good ones. The late Dennis Green had some good ones. I like Jim Fossil, rest in peace, when he lost his shit and was like, this team's going to the playoffs. I was like, Jim, I love you. And yes, you were proven right, but I don't even think you believed that when you said that.
Right. I was saying to myself, what is Jim smoking? They might need They might.
I know he bailed Keith Hamilton out. I thought they were smoking together on the way home. I guess we'll have to ask Keith. He's the only one who could tell the story. Browns at Bengals. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys winning too. Hey, look, last week, Rich, what did I say last week? I said Dallas is going to come out and put on one of those shows that they do every year, and you said you thought that game was Minnesota. And I was like, no, I'm thinking that home show. And they did, to the tune of 54 points.
Yeah.
Dallas is going to come out and do the exact same thing. I don't think Houston sees the end zone. I think they get to 9 points, 3 field goals. They're going to shut that offense down. Seeing what Matt Ryan said to Dak Prescott after that game, you have a squad, go get it. I mean, this team is focused, and they're ready to do it with or without OBJ. They have the defense to do it, the running game to do it. They're going to drop it on Houston.
You don't want Matt Ryan to be the guy that's co-signing anything about finishing. Let's just get that out of the way. But, okay, I get it.
Because Matt Ryan knows that he should have finished, but he's telling everyone, hey, you got to finish. You got to play 4 quarters, not just 3.
Yeah.
Right.
So
here's the thing with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has always been like that, though, even when he was with Atlanta. And when I say that he's on his last legs in football, period, because the guy is like he's a wet mop at this point. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a wet mop. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and wring him out, let him out, put him out there in the garage, let him dry in the garage. And he'll be all stiff. He's done. He's done.
Yeah, he's definitely finished. And if it wasn't for Saturday coming in, he probably wouldn't have got his job back. Browns at Bengals. This is kind of interesting because the Bengals are very hot right now and looking like they can jump the Ravens possibly as early as this week. But the Cleveland Browns have won the last 3 games against them. I'm going to make it short and sweet. I like the Bengals here. I'm going to go Bengals 27, Browns 20. That is my final. I think the Browns hang around. I think the Bengals win the game, though. That's it. That's all I got.
I say 27-14.
They're due to beat this team. They haven't beat them in a long time. Zappy, your thoughts? Battle of Ohio.
Joe Burrow 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, but 0-4 against the Cleveland Browns. He will get his first win this week. He'll be 1-4. Cleveland will take over first place as the reeling Steelers. I can't believe I'm saying that. Are going to give Baltimore a fight. So I have Cincinnati.
Oh, here you go. That's the segue.
Yeah, I have Cincinnati beating Cleveland, and I have Pittsburgh defeating Baltimore. Baltimore is going to be without Lamar Jackson for this week alone, maybe longer. Pittsburgh's playing some very good defense.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now,
They're playing
and
inspired ball. They're turning
they
it
are.
around. It's a little late this year, but for the bigger
It might
picture.
not be. That's the thing. It might not be. They're
After they made the
5-7.
playoffs last year, anything's possible.
Yeah, and I think right now they're playing more for Mike Tomlin's sake. Get him that 500 record or better, so his streak continues. But you got to take it 1 week at a time, and the formula is there for Pittsburgh to beat Baltimore this week. Baltimore came off a very, very tight win last week.
Their offense, even with Jackson before the injury, has just gone in the toilet.
It's gone completely. And the lack of a receiver is obviously a credit to that. J.K. Dobbins, he slowly has worked his way back. But I just think that this Baltimore team, I've thought about this Baltimore team all year, is in shambles. And I think we're slowly seeing that screw come out.
Do they reach out to Brett's boy, Des Bryant? One final go. Dust them off.
I can't.
Dust that artifact off.
No, they won't.
If you want a hieroglyphic, just go to Egypt, okay? If you want an artifact, call Louis Leakey, okay? No, Des Bryant. You might as well go get Antonio Brown, okay?
Oh boy.
No, and right now, Des Bryant, honestly, he's got one thing in mind, and that's getting OBJ signed in Dallas. He's taking him out to dinner already. They're throwing up the X together on social media. Everything pointing to OBJ still coming to Dallas. Des has got his mind on that right now, is getting OBJ to Dallas.
And our fan base, let me tell you, our fan base, God help them. Which is Zappy, you and I discussed this. Our fan base, and Richie too. Our fan base is the stupidest fan base. On the face, I hate to say this as a Giants fan. Listen, these people, they've been begging social media that OBJ should sign with it. I said no.
I'm so tired of hearing about it at this point.
I'm tired.
And one thing has been proven: he didn't want to work out for Buffalo, Dallas, our guys, anybody, which speaks volumes that he's not ready.
No, but it goes to prove also who Jerry Jones is, and it's who we've known him to be for the last 20-something years. Is everyone knows he's not working out. Buffalo knew he didn't work out. They didn't say anything. New York knew it. They didn't say anything. But Jerry, being Jerry, had to go out there and try to get some leverage and say, oh, well, he might not be ready. And, of course, Micah comes out the next day and says, he told me he'd be ready in 5 weeks, which means maybe by week 18, get his feet wet against Washington.
With that prorated number, that is not – and you said this off air earlier. It's also a ploy to get that asking price down, which I'll be honest, I think the asking price is a little unreasonable. Nobody told him to go burn it down in New York. Nobody told him to take that guaranteed money to Cleveland and then squander it because he couldn't stand being there. At the end, if you look at his trajectory with the moves he's made, and I don't have no bad for him because I do think he's much more mature than he used to be. But one thing that can't be denied is Odell during the course of his career has always made his bed. And I do believe that, there's been some poor decisions there. Somebody pays me $90 million and the guaranteed part of it, which the Giants gave him, and you manage to not really hold on to much of that because you get traded untimely and then you just get traded to the mistake by the lake and you can't wait to get out of there.
The reason why he got traded was because what led to that trade was that interview that he did on NBC with Lil Wayne sitting right beside him right after he signed the contract. Okay,
yeah.
He says, when he's asked that question, how do you feel about playing here? Well, I don't know. I'm like, what? You don't know? You paid me $90 million. I'm shucking, jiving, skinning, grinning. I'm showing teeth. I'm happy to play here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy.
Right.
Cut the check, boss. Cut the check. You know what I mean? It's the same thing like I was telling people. It's the same thing like I was telling people, and I don't mean to sidetrack, but this I'm segueing into the Deion Sanders thing. Okay? It's about money. People are in their feelings about him leaving.
Career progression.
To Colorado.
Yeah.
I was like, really? I was like, really? You're mad about this man who was making $300,000 at Jackson State, okay? their athletic program is in shambles because the school doesn't even fund it. You know what I mean? The comptroller is probably stealing the money, as it, because that's what happens at a lot of HBCUs. I went to 2 of them. I know firsthand. I've seen it firsthand. Went through it firsthand. Okay. And they the water stuff. He can't even get his peace of mind together because they're trying to rob him.
And the biggest joke,
the public is trying to rob him.
And the biggest joke about that to me, you got people up in arms over this, but yet they're not even sweating the millions of dollars that the governor come on,
Brett Favre. Yeah,
come on.
And here's the other part people need to understand is, with the exception, and I do mean with the exception of Jeff Saturday and one other coach, everyone has had to start somewhere to build their resume, because no matter what career you're in, it is all about career progression. It is all about setting your family up and their children, grandchildren, so on and so forth up for the future. If you walked up to Deion Sanders and said, hey, you coach at Colorado for the next 3 to 4 years, let's say 2 to 3, you win a Pac-12 championship, and you get to a couple of good bowl games, Florida State's going to come calling. You don't think he's going to take that job?
Not to mention,
absolutely.
What people lose sight of. Yes, he's done well in his post-football career, post-baseball career too. People forget he played baseball.
Right.
But what people lose sight of is he wasn't making money in that era that the athletes make now. Let him get his. Right. He's earned it. He's busted his ass.
Earned it.
Being a damn good coach, I give him all the praise. And he changed the culture over there. We're going to come back to football.
He put HBCU on the map. I will say that.
Did.
Because of his name alone. Because of his name alone. Unless if you're an avid college football fan like myself, Quentin, and a few other people I know, they knew who HBCU was. But not a lot of people did. They knew about them maybe through movies like Stomp the Yard or something like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, they didn't know about these colleges.
Different world. A different world.
Yeah, exactly. And I've lived in Georgia, so I have a better understanding of them. I'm not saying I know everything about them, but I could say one thing. If it wasn't for Deion Sanders, we would have never seen a historical moment last year in the recruiting process where the number 1 cornerback in the nation committed to Jackson State.
Yeah, Travis Hunter. He's from he lived in Lawrenceville where I used to live, in College Hill High School. And that high school was down the street from the house that I was living in at that point. You know what I'm saying? So I'm familiar with Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and and that's just who he is. And guess what? A lot of these recruits, they're going to follow him, but that happens to anybody. When Jimbo Fisher left Florida State to A&M, a lot of those players followed him. Nick Saban was not always Nick Saban. Kirby Smart, it took him a while to get going. It's how it goes for everybody. Lane Kiffin's another example. You got to work your way up. You don't just go straight to the top unless if your name is Jeff Saturday and you're in bed with Jim Irsay. Other than that,
bottom line is to take care. It's about the money, and that's why I'm going to move this to baseball before we finish back with football. Xander Bogaerts, Aaron Judge, they play for rivals, or did play for rivals. One of them left. Bogaerts to San Diego. Aaron Judge signing a 9-year deal. He's currently 30, coming off an MVP season. I'll tell you short and sweet. For Bogaerts, I think it's a great move. I think Fernando Tatis getting busted with the PED thing has actually had him on some level be like, okay, dude, this is who we're going to bring in. So you got to play ball and just be happy because of you're not exactly in the best standing with this organization. It's a great situation, though. Tatis has played the outfield already. He can prove that he can do both. Bogaerts is a great addition. These are your 2 Triple Crown guys that were in the mix. Or batting average. Bogaerts beating Judge and batting average prevented Judge from winning the Triple Crown. Point to be made is 2 of the finest talents. And if Judge left, that was my plan B, was to go get Bogaerts. As far as Aaron Judge goes, I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on what Yankee fans believe. My thing is this. He'll be the captain by year 2. And in a 9-year deal, if you get 5 quality out of those 9 years, you did pretty damn good they were just not in a position to afford to lose a player of that caliber. And recently, the Yankees had Brandon Nimmo in the building. If they sign Brandon Nimmo, I think that gives the Yankees the best defensive outfield in the league, in Major League Baseball. That you would have Harrison Bader, Aaron Judge, and Brandon Nimmo, who in that case would be formerly of the New York Mets. And I gotta say, man, John Heyman breaking the Judge to San Francisco thing, damn, like that's dropping the ball in a big way.
Yeah, and that's why I text you that night, like, hey, it's looking like, well, apparently the night before, New York was at an 8-year deal.
While you speak on this, I'm just gonna you continue your point. I'm just gonna let the viewers see the less notables of my predictions here.
So apparently the night before, when I had texted you and I said it's looking like Aaron Judge is going to San Francisco, it's because New York had not come off their 8-year deal. They were stuck on that. San Francisco was offering more money, but he wanted that 9th year. He gave New York every opportunity to give him that 9th year, and they finally did. The clock struck 0. The sun came up, and they said, hey, you know what, Aaron? 9-year, 360, 40 per. Let's do this.
I think that he also got turned off because similar to the Yankees when the leak got out about what they offered him going into the season, I think Judge is very private and respectful when it comes to those kind of negotiations, and I think he was pretty pissed off that it came out before he put ink to pen. And I do think that if there was that close of making a decision, that might have turned him back to the Yankees because he was pissed off with that leaking out.
But people need to understand that you can't sit here and say, oh, well, this person's saying this. Aaron Judge could have very well said, I'm signing with San Francisco tomorrow and had a change of heart. Let's look at the NBA. Let's look at any sport. NFL, when you have your 3 days of being able to talk to free agents, but they can't officially sign, you come to an agreement, but you're still a free agent by all means.
Yep.
The Aaron Judge one surprised me, but it didn't. Obviously, I thought it was going to come down to those two teams. The Padres one, that one surprised me because I thought Xander had a beeline for Los Angeles to the Dodgers after they had lost Trey Turner to the Phillies. That's the one that shocked me. But
it's similar to when the Yankees went out and traded for A-Rod, had him move to third, kept Jeter at short. But it's the first time in a long time that you have two players that play the same position at that skill level, at that impact level on the same team. It's been a long time. We're going to veer it back over to the NFL. The New York Jets making the trip to Buffalo looking for a season sweep. Bills are in position to be that 1 seed still in the AFC. They do have a win against the Kansas City Chiefs, and with the Miami loss, they are, in my opinion, in the driver's seat because they do have the rematch in Buffalo. Keys to victory here. I'll tell you the God's honest truth. It's going to come down to the matchup between Stephon Diggs, Sauce Gardner, and if Sauce is winning the matchup, Josh Allen's ability to distribute the football elsewhere. And like any other football game, I think the Bills are going to have to be able to run the ball to a level. And Mike White, who in my opinion is an upgrade over Zach Wilson, has to play well. It's going to be a raucous Buffalo crowd.
I don't think it's going to be close because
I like Buffalo in this one getting some revenge.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be close as it was last time. The Jets, their Achilles heel right now is quarterback.
Oh yeah,
that's their Achilles heel. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Mike White, that kid Hannah Montana, that's right. The kid that that was. The MILF boner or whatever his name is, Hannah Montana or whatever. Whoever they got back there, they're going to be
Joe Montana.
Yeah,
he played quarterback.
Hannah Montana.
Well, Hannah Montana tries to play quarterback.
I saw what you did there, Richie. I saw what you did.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be. I think the Jets are going to be looking for a quarterback. Possibly
they need Kyle Lauletta. Remember that one in our fan base?
Yeah.
He's going to be the next Big Ben.
Yeah, he's going to be the next big thing. And that dude was like a wet fart on a Sunday afternoon. I was like, that guy ended up in the USFL, and then you haven't heard from. He was Jesse Palmer. Jesse Palmer was the big thing. That dude ended up on The Bachelor and getting dumped. Okay, worse than we dumped him. Okay, now the Jets are going to be in a situation where they're going to have to figure out their quarterback situation.
This is Josh Rosen 2.0.
Yes.
Where the organization is realizing that they drafted the wrong guy way too high, and instead of compounding the problem by keeping him around, they're just going to reassess it and try to cut your losses and get what you could for him. As far as the game goes, I think the Jets are going to have problems scoring points in this one. I got the Bills winning this thing 27-13, convincing fashion. The reason I have it being close for a while is because the Jets still have a pretty good defense. But I got the Bills winning by 2 touchdowns, 27-13.
So a few weeks back, what did I say? I said there's 2 teams that I believe are going to fall out of playoff contention. One in the AFC, one in the NFC. And I said both those teams happen to play in East Rutherford, New York, the Jets and the Giants.
Yep.
I think while the Jets do hold the last playoff spot right now, I don't think they're going to hold it much longer. We look on TV, Las Vegas is winning 10-0. They're well on their way to being 6-7 after today. The Chargers, they're still in the fight. There's the Steelers who are coming along. There's a lot of teams that are starting
to wake up. What do those
up.
Carr and Adams stat lines look like? Because
Well, I will say Adams had
they're living together.
Catch.
They're rooming together.
An incredible catch on their first touchdown drive. I will give him that. Over the shoulder, one-handed, while he was being interfered with.
Way to go, Raiders! You're gonna save Josh McDaniels' job, even though he doesn't deserve to be coaching in the NFL. Bum.
Right.
That dude doesn't deserve to be coaching anywhere. Period. Not even Little League ball. I mean, come on, Josh McDaniels. I mean, this dude went.
I want to see Bill's kid get a job just because I love that mullet, looking like Willow.
I'd rather see John Gruden coaching at McDonald's University than Josh McDaniels. You know what I mean? This guy here. He can't coach his way out of a paper bag. I mean, come on.
No, he's terrible. And then you get rid of a guy that took you to the playoffs, navigated around the Henry Ruggs thing, the Gruden thing, got you in the playoffs. The Raiders are playing better ball right now. I give them that.
Rich Biscottia, you let him go for
that was bad.
What flavor crack are you smoking?
And then they got Patrick Graham on the defense.
Gentlemen, I have to announce the Rams season is about to change. Baker Mayfield is in the game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Bro. Yeah.
Baker Mayfield's about to take over.
That guy is a baller. Okay. Baker Mayfield. Man, that guy. Did you see his finesse when he makes a pass? He got so much finesse. He sits on the bench.
Terrific.
All right. Oh, his first pass as a Ram went for 20 yards.
The other way, or did it go north?
No, it went north. It went north.
Well, my prediction was wrong. I predicted that his first pass completion as a Ram would be to himself with a batted ball at the line. All right, so I didn't win that one. Dolphins at Chargers, Sunday Night Football. Last game we're going to cover tonight before we go to our final segment, Start Bench Cut. The Chargers, a lot of people I noticed are picking them. I'm not one of those people. I said it before, I say it again. They haven't dealt with the injuries as well as they could, still given the talent that they have. I think the Dolphins are going to take advantage of a leaky secondary. And while I do think that this could be an entertaining football game for a while, I got the Dolphins winning this thing 38-30. I think there's going to be some points going up, but I think the better team is the Dolphins, and the better team is going to win here on the road. Not really much of a home advantage when you think about it, because that place doesn't really have a lot of atmosphere to it. And the Chargers have always been a team that has kind of felt like they're kind of displaced. Like they're in San Diego, now they're in Los Angeles, but you got more Raider
started
fans.
Off in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Started off.
But then you can make a case that And you can make a case that you got more Rams and Raiders fans in Los Angeles because they both played there at different junctures.
Right.
Yeah, it's the game. 38-30 Chargers. That's my final. 38-30 Dolphins. Jalen Waddle, I would say that's the one concern. If he can play at a high level, because he did get dinged up recently. I know my fantasy team is going to be hoping on that. Your final on this game before we get to the final segment.
Chargers are, they're going one way. The Dolphins had a tough test on the road in San Francisco, had every opportunity to win that game. Hats off to Brock Purdy. He played a good game, a well enough game to win the game. But there's no way I could see this Dolphins team losing 2 weeks in a row. He played
a Purdy game.
I see what you did there.
I see what you did there, Richie. That's a zinger that's a zinger.
The one thing that I'm worried about with the Dolphins is Jalen Waddle. He's got this lingering injury. But I think they're going to be fine. Chargers defense is just too banged up. I have the Dolphins coming out on top on this one, 34-20. I think it'll be close early, but just Dolphins have a little more firepower, in my opinion, a better coach, better defense, everything. So,
and you can even make a case for better uniforms. But I kind of do dig the Charger powder blues.
I like
Quentin, your final on this.
Yeah.
Your final on this.
38-21. 38-21 Dolphins. My concern is Tua Tagovailoa. Okay. This guy, I don't know what he's made out of. He's got to be one of the toughest quarterbacks I've ever seen in a long time. The hits that he has been taking to the head, he got bent backwards. And I was like, wow, he's still walking after this. Yeah, he's definitely, he definitely made a believer out of me. Okay, because him coming out of Alabama, I'm like, he's too small. He's going to get hurt, and he's proven that he can handle it. He can handle the weight of the NFL. So, 38-21 Dolphins.
Breaking news that I just got sent from my buddy via Jeff Passan. Brandon Nimmo, New York Mets, 8-year, $162 million contract. So that eliminates the Yankees from that.
You just beat me to it.
And the Yankees will probably try to bring back Andrew Benintendi, I would think, to play left. He made a decent impact before. We'll see about that. Start bench cut. I'm going to introduce the rules to everybody who's not familiar with this part of the show. In start bench cut, we're doing the greatest free agent pickups. Each of my guests gets 90 seconds to plead a case for each of these three, and I kind of diversified it into three different sports. Reggie Jackson, New York Yankees. Reggie White. I didn't even realize there were two Reggies. I could have maybe put a third Reggie in there. Reggie White, Green Bay Packers. Shaquille O'Neal, Los Angeles Lakers. I'm going to let Quentin start this. 90 seconds, buddy. Reggie Jackson, Reggie White, Shaquille O'Neal, start bench cut, and you are up.
All right, I'm going to go with Reggie White. You start him.
Okay.
All right, Reggie Jackson, you bench him.
All right.
You bring him in certain situations because he's Mr. October. That's when he shined the most. Shaquille O'Neal can't make a free throw to this day to save his life. Have you seen this? Have you seen his pizza commercials where it's got him? He's looking like the clumps in whatchamacallit?
The Nutty Professor.
Yeah, the Nutty Professor, where it's got it's him and he's 5 different characters. He's talking about that nasty pizza that he's selling. I'm like, no, cut him. Cut him on them pizza commercials alone. Please.
All right. So you got cut O'Neal, bench Jackson, start White. Start bench cut Michael Zappi. You're up for 90 seconds. Let's go.
So when I look at this one, I think of 3-2-1. And when I say 3-2-1, I say 3 championships by Shaq when he was with the Lakers, when that three-peat with Kobe Bryant. 2 championships by Reggie Jackson when he went to the Yankees, and then 1 championship by Reggie White when he went to the Packers. Now let's break it down even further. The Yankees went through a long spell. I mean, before 1962, this team was known as a team that would win year in and year out. And then, as when you think of the movie A Bronx Tale, the Yankees weren't winning. No one cared about the Yankees, this and that. Then you fast forward to 1977, Reggie Jackson gets brought along, and then he's a big part of the reason why that team won back-to-back in 77.
The reason Calogero didn't care about the Yankees is because of Terrell Hicks, but continue.
There you go.
Mhm.
So I am starting the Yankees because of Reggie Jackson, the impact he had ensuring the Yankees won those back-to-back World Series, because while we didn't live during that era, I'm sure it was not misery, but kind of odd to see 15 straight years of no Yankee championships. Now I'm going to bench Reggie White. Obviously, he was a monster with the Philadelphia Eagles, but when he came to Green Bay, you would expect that he would have had some sort of decline, and he didn't. He continued to be the Reggie White that everyone grew and loved. He was very instrumental into Super Bowl 31's victory over the New England Patriots. I mean, obviously, we lost him at a very young age, but on the field for the Packers, he was their defensive leader. He made a lot of the things happen. His presence along the line with Gilbert Brown, for example, I mean, this guy was feasting year in and year out for the Packers. I'm going to bench Shaq because I think either way, Kobe would have won a couple of those championships. He did need Shaq, but Shaq, he's a great center, one of the greatest to do it, but Shaq needed Kobe just as much as Kobe needed Shaq.
That's right.
So for that reason, I'm going to bench Shaquille O'Neal.
No nasty pizza.
And no nasty pizza, yeah.
You make great points, Sappy. And if I agreed with your start bench cut, I would have gave you the dub. But hear me out. Let me explain this. The reason why I'm starting Reggie White is because when I think about the other 2 organizations, I think he had the strongest impact on the Green Bay Packers, given that their drought was almost twice as long as the New York Yankees at 29 years. So I'm starting Reggie White. Now, with Reggie Jackson and Shaquille O'Neal, that could be a toss-up for me. The reason why I'm going to choose Reggie Jackson over Shaquille O'Neal is because of just a singular moment. 3 home runs off of 3 different pitchers, which is friggin' remarkable. That's the reason that Reggie, at minimum, makes my bench. Shaq was the best player in a post-Jordan NBA during those times with the Los Angeles Lakers. But I do want to make this point. You made mention how O'Neal needed Kobe just as much and, back and forth as Kobe needed Shaq. Let's not lose sight of the fact that Reggie Jackson also needed Thurman Munson. Now, the biggest reason why I pick Reggie White is because, yes, you did make a mention to Gilbert Brown, but quite frankly, at that position, I think you could make an argument that Reggie White was the most dominant defensive player in the history of football, not named Lawrence Taylor. Because of that alone, that is why he's my starter. But you gave valid reasoning behind your points. But quite frankly, the reason Q gets the win here, he just agreed a little closer to the way I saw it.
I like it.
Which essentially was cutting Shaquille O'Neal. We've got a minute. Yeah, no, you did. You did, but the whole and I'm a Yankee fan, so for me to say that, I was definitely trying to be fair on that.
My only thing with Reggie, just last thing, is the fact that he couldn't beat the Cowboys. It literally took until Jimmy Johnson, the triplets were kind of being dismantled, all that stuff, for him to finally get his ring with Brett Favre. That's my only argument with him, where the Yankees did it at a much different pace. You know what I mean?
I will say this. Reggie White wins the Super Bowl MVP were it not for Desmond Howard's remarkable 2-touchdown game on special teams. Reggie White, because of that game, is the single game record holder for Super Bowl sacks, which was damn near tied by New York Giants great Justin Tuck. Were it not for Brady throwing the ball out for the safety, which on intentional grounding, that would have been Tuck's tie with Reggie White. Great show, gentlemen. We're coming up on the 30-second mark, so we're going to get out of here. We'll probably hang around for a minute and continue to speak. Yeah, great show. If you haven't already, definitely make it a point to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And Zappy didn't mean what he said. He knows the Texans are going to win. At any rate, I'm Richie for Quentin and Mike Zappy. Thank you so much for watching. We are out.